Bienvenue. Je m'appelle Ryan Mckern, and welcome again to another episode of the Wicked Webs We Weave podcast. Sit back and warm yourself in the proverbial fires. To the haunted whales we go, South Louisiana, to Houma for its history, the plantation, and the ghost stories among. Welcome to the darkness once again, and thank you again for joining me. I'm your host, Ryan Mckern, and this is the Wicked Webs We Weave. And now, we enter the history of the Houma House Estates, the house and plantation. The Houma residence began as a humble two-story structure in 1774, built by Alexander Lois and Maurice Conway, and is referred to as the French house. It was constructed in the brick and cypress with 18 thick walls on the first and second floors. The original cypress beams and rafters are still visible today. The building forms the rear of the mansion and is separated from the main structure by a carriageway. The Houma's property has changed hands several times between 1774 and 1805, when two Englishmen acquired the plantation and began construction on a new home, which they positioned just a few yards in front of the original French house. Known as the Donaldson House, it was a simple Louisiana cottage, brick and post construction, with a center hall and 4 rooms, fronted with a colonnade and topped with a typical hipped roof. The cottage rests on brick piers about 3 feet above the ground level. That structure remains today, encapsulated within the mansion, and incorporates the present dining room, rear center hall, billiards room, and part of the oval room. General Wade Hampton acquired the plantation in 1811 and began remodeling the Donaldson House in 1817. The house was enlarged at the rear, and the colonnade extended around the entire structure. It is also believed that an attic floor was added, as well as dormers with the interior staircase. 2 of the 1817 columns remain within the carriageway of the house, along with the original front door. The 1817 windows are still on the visible of the side elevations of the house. In 1829, General Wade Hampton began construction on today's classic revival structure, the Houma's Mansion. A ground colonnade was added to the 14th massive Tuscan columns, which rose on the plinth blocks and upwards of the 2 floors. The 3rd floor of the mansion was hidden behind a large pinched and gabled roofline, pierced with 7 classic revival pilastered arched dormers. The large roof of Houma's was crowned with the grand cupola and belvedere, allowing for an expansive view of the river, as well as the bountiful cane fields and numerous plantation buildings, changing ownership several times from Wade Hampton to William Porcher Miles. In the 1890s, the mansion was enlarged by connecting the 1829 mansion to the French house in the rear. The carriageway was created between the 2 buildings and 2 additional bedrooms, and a hall was added to the 2nd floor of the mansion. During the Miles period, the 2nd floor housed 7 bedrooms, and in 1940, Dr. George Crozat of New Orleans purchased the home and remodeled the classic revival mansion to a Williamsburg Federal-style country home. New buildings were demolished, including a schoolhouse, a pair of pigeoneries, 5 water cisterns, stables, service quarters, and dozens of small buildings. Dr. Crozat furnished the mansion with federal and early Louisiana antiques. In 1968, upon Dr. Crozat's death, The home was left to the family and was opened up to the public for tours. Circa 2003, the Crozat heirs sold the mansion and the entire contents piece by piece at an auction. It was here that the Houma's estate in surrounding 32 acres was purchased by current owner Kevin Kelly. From Acadiana's epoch of Evangeline to the mystical tales of haunted habitats in New Orleans, the South Louisiana has a rich heritage and an active interest in plausibility of wandering souls from beyond the grave in these parts. Ghost stories around the world, mostly told around campfires to adolescent audiences for pure entertainment, but after sightings of reasonable, mature adults awoke of a different evoke, the spirits of Louisiana. Houma's House Plantation is the site of two very serious, inexplicable events, one precipitated by nature, the other by very unnatural. The legend of the gentleman. The history of Houma House goes way back to the early 1800s. The old home stands on land once inhabited by the Houma Native American tribe, from whom the plantation takes its name. The original structure was constructed around 1807, though it was expanded and remodeled several times, and expanded throughout the 19th century. At its height, the plantation encompassed thousands of acres and relied heavily on enslaved labor to cultivate sugarcane, making it one of the most prosperous sugarcane plantations in Louisiana. Over the years, the property passed through multiple owners, including wealthy sugar barons and prominent families. The Civil War and the abolition of slavery brought significant upheaval, and once grand estate fell into disrepair. By the early 20th century, much of the plantation's former glory had faded, though its impossible structure still stood as silent witness, and imposing to centuries of hardship, labor, and loss. In the late 20th century, Houma House was restored and transformed into a museum and event venue. Its lavish interiors, period furnishings, and manicured gardens attract thousands of visitors each year. Yet beneath its elegance, many believe the spirits of the past never truly left. In the days before the levee, Houma House Valley ran across the Grand Lawn, through the Boutier, and on to the river's edge. The perfectly formed and heroically erect trees spread their branches arm in arm to welcome visitors to the property of all who approached from River Road. John Burnside, a colorful bachelor who presided as owner during the late 1800s, lovingly referred to those giant leafy trees, sentinels, as the gentleman. The reverence prevailed through generations of stewardship until progress, in the form of flood control, come to the Great River Road, the legend and irony. Stories of paranormal activity at Houma's house are numerous and span decades. One of the most frequent reported spirits is that of a young enslaved woman said to have lived and died on the property. Witnesses described seeing a woman in period clothing moving silently through the hallways or standing near windows before vanishing. Some have claimed to hear staff weeping or the rustle of skirts when no one else is present. Another commonly reported apparition is believed to be a former owner of the plantation. Guests and staff have reported the sensation of being watched, especially in the upstairs rooms. Doors open and close on their own. Lights flicker inexplicably, and cold spots appear even on a warm Louisiana night. Employees that work at the Houma House have shared accounts of the footsteps echoing through empty halls, furniture shifting on its own, an unmistakable feeling that someone is standing just behind them. Security staff have reported that the motion sensors are triggering without visible cause, and have heard voices captured on surveillance equipment. One of the most chilling stories involves the grand staircase, where witnesses claim to see a shadowy figure descending before vanishing at the bottom step. Others describe a childlike presence, with soft laughter echoing down the halls and small footprints appearing briefly on polished floors. The plantation's grounds are said to be just as active. Visitors walking the gardens at dusk have reported seeing shadowy figures among the trees or feeling sudden drops in temperature near the old slave quarters. Some believe that these spirits are tied to the immense suffering endured by those forced to live and work on the land. Whether these phenomena are residual hauntings, like echoes of humans' past trauma, or intelligent spirits aware of the living remains a matter of debate. What is clear is that the reports continue to surface from visitors with no prior knowledge of the plantation's haunted reputation. Houma's House Plantation is a place where history and mystery intertwine. Why its elegant facade tells a story of wealth and southern grandeur. The whispered footsteps, shadowy figures, and unexplained sounds hint a deeper, more unsettling past. It's just one shadow in the dark multitude of ghost stories in and around this Crescent City. Thank you very much for watching this video on YouTube, listening on Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcast, TikTok, Instagram, wherever you may find this podcast. It's truly appreciated. Once again, I'm your host, Ryan Mckern. Merci beaucoup, mon ami. And much like the heat rising from the graves of the bayou, I'll see you again very soon. Until next time, au revoir.